Well, in this poem, I would like to first of all introduce you people to the famous metaphysical poet Andrew Morwell. So this is the picture of the poet Andrew Morwell. He was an English metaphysical poet. He was also a satirist. A satirist is a kind of person who makes fun of the manners and etiquettes of or the overall behavior of the people from society or people from politics, etc. For example, you must have heard the name of P.L. Deshpande, Pula Deshpande, Prake Atre. So they were the satirists. So he was a metaphysical poet, he was a satirist, and he was a politician as well. Yes, he was the member of the House of Commons. Those who prepare themselves for these competitive examinations, they must be familiar with what we call the history of Britain. And they must be, or even the students who study political science, they must be familiar with the British parliamentary system. So House of Lords and House of Commons are the just like the houses, the what we call just like a Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So he was the member of the House of Commons at various times between 1659 and 1678. So this was actually a Commonwealth period in Britain. So during this particular period, he was a colleague and friend of John Milton. A Commonwealth period was the period in which the British politician a British leader, Oliver Cromwell, ruled over England. The royal family, uh, the power of the royal family was discarded, and the people the people were ruling over England, and Oliver Cromwell was the leader of this particular movement. So they brought into being the Commonwealth government. So he was the colleague and friend of John Milton, the poet that we are going to study afterwards. Andrew Morville was born on 31st March 1621 in the place named Winstead in the UK, United Kingdom. So you must be knowing United Kingdom is the name given to official name of England, Scotland, etc. And he died on 16th August 1678 in London. So he was a British person. Marvell was educated at Hull Grammar School and Trinity College, Cambridge. He took his BA in 1639. However, his father's death brought an end to his academic career. Actually, he was a very intelligent student, but because of his father's untimely death, he could not continue with his education. He was abroad means in a foreign country for at least 5 years between 1642 and 46, and he was there as a tutor. He taught to people. He was a tutor, a person who conducts tuitions. Between 1651 to 52, he was a tutor of Mary, who was a daughter of Lord Fairfax, the Parliamentary General at Nun Appleton, Yorkshire, and during this time, he probably wrote his notable poems upon Appleton House. And then he wrote the poem The Garden, as well as he wrote his series of Ma poems. Earlier, he opposed Oliver Cromwell's Commonwealth government, but when he wrote his an Horatian ode upon Cromwell's return from Ireland in the year 1650, and From 1653 to 1657, he was a tutor to Cromwell's ward, William Dutton. Means he earlier opposed, but later he favored Lord Cromwell, Oliver Cromwell. And in 1657, he became an assistant to John Milton as Latin secretary in the Foreign Office. Then he wrote the poem, The First Anniversary, and then on the date of OC, Oliver Cromwell, OC means Oliver Cromwell, in the years 1655 and 1659 respectively. And he showed his continued and growing admiration for Lord Cromwell, Oliver Cromwell, who was the Prime Minister of England in time. And in 1659, he was elected Member of Parliament for Hull, an office he held until his death. And he served very skillfully and effectively during this period. We are going to study his poem To His Coy Mistress. To His Coy Mistress is a poem of 46 lines by Andrew Marvell, and this poem was published in the year 1681. While talking about the theme of this poem, it deals with the conventional theme of the conflict between love and time in a very witty and ironic manner. Ironic in a very funny manner. He actually presents in such a humorous way. Okay, and we can see his wit, his intelligence, the way he handles the theme, his beloved. So that could be seen in this poem. The poet opens by telling his mistress that given all the time in the world, he would spend hundreds of years praising each part of her body, while she could spend hundreds of years refusing his advances. Means, if time permits, he would be able to praise her beauty for hundreds of years, and she may reject his love for those many years. But he reminds her that their mortal days are not so abundant. Means their life on the earth. Mortal days means the life on the earth is not eternal. They are going to die. Their youth is going to end. Therefore, he urges her to submit to his embraces, to submit to his love, to accept his love before her beauty fades and they both die. Before she becomes old, she grows old, and before they die, she should accept his love. That's what he says. So we can see that there are metaphysical features in the poem. I'm going to explain those features in the next part of my lecture.